I bring you greetings in the matchless name of my Lord God and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good afternoon on this Saturday. This is the Reverend Bob Lico, the honey badger himself, bringing you another presentation as I sit here and sip my Schweppes ginger ale that I just purchased from our local Kroger's. And I could do a whole brief presentation on the skyrocketing food costs between this Saturday and last Saturday, because we always go on Friday or Saturday to the market. But I want to focus on something else today. Anyone who has been following me on my YouTube channel, the Honey Badger Bob YouTube channel, has been noticing that I have many broadcasts dealing with the biblical perspective on the drought and famine, I should say global drought and famine, global pandemics, global warfare, global animal attacks, all based on scripture, all that are ongoing globally today. And the push and the things that I've been telling our listeners and readers about, just the fact that meat is going to go bye-bye for the majority of people around the world, and including Americans. We're very secure feeling, and it's really a very false security. We feel very secure. We go to the groceries and, some shelves are a little empty, some things are missing, but by and large, probably 95% of the things that we want and normally buy are available. Well, that can change in a heartbeat. And your beef, chicken, and pork, fish, already going away, already costing you a lot more, but it could go away completely. If you've been paying attention to the pathogenic avian bird flu, which is global, which has hit America now and is in half a dozen states and spreading, the African swine flu that has decimated pig herds all over the world, not yet in America, but down south of us, in South America it is, and in Haiti, not very far away, less than 100 miles from our shore. So meat's going away. And I've been covering the insect-based faux meat, the plant-based faux meat, and the cell-based meats. What I want to cover this morning are just a few of the headlines, just around 20 recent headlines from reputable, more or less, news reporting agencies, all singing the same song. And it's really a form of low magic. Without going into a lot of dark occultism, just please understand that this world system operates by a form of low magic. And when I say low magic as opposed to high magic, low magic is the simple use of words to implant thoughts or in the minds of some to change current realities by spoken words and implanting concepts in people's minds and allowing them to develop and flower, if you will, into the negative things that will come. Well, that's what's happening with our meat supply and those who enjoy eating meat. You're just going to have to wake up and realize that meat eaters are sick, hateful, racist people at their core. And I say the media attack on meat has begun, and it is meant, as I say, a form of low occultism to persuade and move the population into the acceptance of cell-based, plant-based, and insect-based foods because meat's going away. And you really aren't going to miss it because it's bad for you. Number one, weight loss techniques can have meat consumption. Oxford trial finds, The Guardian. Well, yeah. If I cut half the meat off of your dinner, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner plate, you'll lose weight. I could probably just say, just cut out sugar and you'll lose weight. But anyway, the point is this. The good news is they've got weight loss techniques that if you use them, A, it's good to lose weight, but it also is going to cut meat consumption in half. Well, why is that even an issue? It's an issue if meat's going away. Oh, this is a great article, which is probably very true. The number one worst food for your heart, says dietitian. And this is probably a true article. It is the infamous meat hot dog, which is filled with all the garbage parts of the animal and are 80% fat. Yeah, it is the worst food for your heart, but of course it would be a meat product. Next article. We must not own animals. And they're talking about farmers and actually anyone. Animals are to be treated the same as human beings. That's what PETA would like you to believe. People for the ethical treatment of animals, and I'm all for the ethical treatment of animals. I love animals. We have 2 cats here in our house now. I grew up with animals, rabbits, dogs, cats, had them all, turtle, wonderful things. But they tell us we must not own animals. You're bad if you raise animals. It's certainly bad if you eat them. Even if you have pets, there's probably something wrong with you. Next article. Why we love animals and love to eat them. Bottom line is we should simply love the animals, and if we truly love them, we will not eat them. Number 5. Now meat eaters stand accused of sexism and racism. If you eat meat, you're sexist and racist. I'm surprised they didn't throw in the H letter for homophobe. It's always sexist, racist, homophobe. Well, apparently there must be gay meat eaters. All right, no comments, please. Now meat eaters stand accused of sexism and racism. European Parliament advocates for meat reduction to fight cancer. See, cutting meat out of your diet fights cancer. And we know everybody gets cancer today, so if you just simply reduce your meat to virtually zero, you'll be fighting cancer, probably live longer. Number 7. Why is eating meat so emotionally and ethically challenging? Psychology Today. Guys, I'm well past 60 years. I'm closer to 70 than I am 50. And in all of my decades on the planet and being around my parents, grandparents, and great-grandmother who lived to be over 106, on record, one of the oldest living people in Kentucky, none of these people in my life, there is not our daughter, none of her friends, none of the people I went to college with at the University of Michigan and other colleges. I've never met a person who found eating meat emotionally and ethically challenging. But you see, they throw the question out there. They put it out. This is the low magic. And they just state the question as though it's a fact. Why is eating meat emotionally and ethically challenging? Question mark. No. They say, why is eating meat? It's a fact. It is emotionally and ethically challenging. You just are so dead on the inside and mentally stunted by eating your meat. You don't even feel the emotional or ethical challenge. Shame. Shame on you. Why is eating meat so emotionally ethically challenging? It's not. Never has been, except perhaps in a very few Zen-like vegans who are snowflakes. All right, here we go. Number 8, 5 reasons we need to be mindful, speaking of a Zen technique, of our meat consumption. Yes, grasshopper, you must be mindful. You must clear your mind as you look at your bacon and ask yourself, grasshopper, this question. Why are you eating one of the worst food for your heart? Number 9, meat-heavy diets in China pose both health and environmental risks. You eat a lot of meat, already know that it causes cancer. We know it's bad for the planet. It's bad for our health. Stop eating meat. Are you getting the message from these headlines? Number 1, fury as school bans meat from lunchboxes and canteen. The school board just took it upon themselves to say, we're not serving the kids any more meat in their lunches, and they can't buy anything. You can't go there and buy a piece of beef jerky or turkey jerky or venison sausage in the canteen anymore. Parents blast ludicrous rule. Well, they can blast it, but they probably didn't change it. An animal rights group, Mercy for Animals, releases new plan to end industrial animal agriculture. That means any farm-raised meat, chicken, ducks, turkey, fish. They plan to end all of that. They want to stop 100% of it. Nobody on the planet to eat meat anymore. Well, they're kind of a fringe wacko group like PETA. Very, I don't know what you'd consider them, a terrorist group. I don't know. But nonetheless, they're advocating to end industrial animal agriculture. Number 3, meat supremacy. Eating meat is part of the white supremacist patriarchal worldview. Again, this is another fringe communist, socialist news organ called the Pluralist. Anytime you hear words like supremacist and patriarchal, you're talking to a communist socialist person. So now you are, I don't know how, I guess eating meat, it's part of the white supremacist patriarchal worldview. Even if you're black, Hispanic, or Asian, which are the majority of people, white people make up the smallest percentage of in quotes, races. There are but one race. Racism was started by the British, and it had a lot to do with evolution. In ancient times, people were people. They were different tribes, but there was just one humanity. But eating meat's part of the white supremacist patriarchal worldview. So black folks, wake up. Chicanos, wake up. Asians, wake up. Get away from being part of the white supremacist patriarchy and go vegan. Number 4, I hope you're paying attention to this, whiteys. You hunky-o fake Caspers. I must confess, because the camera's not on, I'm a white boy. Been white all my life, not one black day. Number 4, our meat obsession is destroying the planet. Solution, simple, is to change how we see animals. Remember, if we love them, really love them, we're not going to eat them. And if we see eating these animals is actually destroying the planet, raising them up to eat them is destroying the planet. This is about the 3rd or 4th article we've seen. Number 5, cutting out meat once and for all. Sorry, I've got one there. It's once and for all. Would save the planet from global warming. So cutting out meat once and for all. Like I said, meat's going bye-bye. And they're using these articles to prepare you for your nice bug on the Barbie. Cutting out meat once and for all would save the planet from global warming. PETA jumps into India. Shut pig farms to prevent Nipah epidemic. PETA to the Kerala government. there was a Nipah epidemic, and there is one still kind of ongoing, and it does happen in swine. But what's PETA's solution? Oh, just totally shut down all the farms, put all of those farmers, and those communities that depend upon that agriculture totally out of business. Let them starve to death instead of continuing to work on a vaccine and treatment for African swine flu. Number 7, it's time to decide. I found this, I just threw this in here, but I find it appalling, the fact that the question is even being asked. It's time to decide if we're willing to eat human meat or not. And just tuck that one in the back of your mind. And then think back to the examples in the Old Testament where cities were under siege and people ate their children, just as God predicted and prophesied that they would when they rebelled against him. Came to pass. It's time to decide if we're willing to eat human meat or not. I don't know why it's time to decide this. They're just telling me in all of these articles, eating meat is bad. I would assume eating human meat must be really bad. If I can't eat pork and I can't eat turkey, fish, or horse meat, or dog meat, why would it be all right to eat humans? I guess after we get rid of all the animals, we're going to want some meat and get tired of the lab-grown stuff. I don't know. It's foolishness, but it just is a sign, and I think we should pay attention. Number 8. I remember growing up, the pork industry. Pork, the other white meat, and how it was presented. White meat was presented as actually being better than red meat for you, as far as your blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, intestinal gut biome, I don't know what. But I remember growing up hearing those commercials. Now, number 8 article. White meat apparently is just as bad. I should have double underlined bad. Meat bad. White meat bad. Red meat bad. Fish bad. White meat is just as bad for you as red meat. So don't think you're doing your body any favor by saying, look, I cut steak out. We eat chicken, skinless chicken, and turkey. Well, bad news bears, guys. White meat is just as bad for you as red meat. Number 9, Russia to drive up horse meat production out of depression. Well, now this is before the Ukraine war started. I think a lot of countries in Europe are going back. France has always eaten horse meat. It's gourmet. The EU may have stopped that process. You can Google it and just find out the consumption of horse meat in the world. It's going to go back. Now, remember number 8. White meat is just as bad for you as red meat. Number 10. Eating red and processed meats, even in small amounts, may increase death risk. So even eating red or processed meats, that means anything you buy that's been processed, any type of meat, even though it can be it can be organic with no antibiotics and no preservatives, but nonetheless, you eat any of that, eating red and processed, even in small amounts, death risk. You're risking death, meat-eating fool. Whitey, what's wrong with you? Actually, I would assume that since eating meat is part of the white supremacist patriarchal worldview, then they ought to go, shh, 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 white folk here. It's your culture. Eat lots of meat. We people of other colors give you all of our meat, white brethren. Eat it up in large amounts. because we know eating it in small amounts increases your risk of death, and we want to get rid of the white supremacist patriarchs. So eat your meat. They should not be stopping us. They should be making white people eat meat every day. Kill us off. Do you remember the reports on pink slime, which is actually real meat that's ground up and mixed with some other crap, and it is a pink kind of Pepto-Bismol until they add some coloring, more coloring to it, slurry that they can form into all sorts of food and sell it now. USDA rules that pink slime can officially be called ground beef. So when you buy some of your ground beef, it may be just nothing more than ground up everything in a slurry and not actual beef that was put through a grinder. Big difference. Let me tell you something about ground beef that you may not know. When you buy a package of ground beef from the store, it can be a 1 pound package or one of those 5 pound tubes or however you buy your ground meat. And it could be a variety of fat content, or it doesn't matter. Here's the point. Just understand this. When they package that from the meat processor, that package of ground beef may have come from 50 to 200 different cows because they all just go into the grinder at the same time. That's why we enjoy buying our meat, and our beef in particular, from a farmer. We bought half a cow last year. When it grew up, it was slaughtered, they processed the meat, we bought it. So when we eat a package of hamburger, it's from the one cow. So if there's one cow that is sick or diseased out of 100, that's why it gets ground up and spread into all of those packages, or many of those packages of ground beef. That's why you have so many ground beef recalls. I'm just telling you that. Not much you can do about it unless you go and work with a farmer, which I encourage, and get your meat and poultry and dairy from an actual local farmer. It helps the local farmers, it helps your community, and it helps you. All right, number 2, climate change could force the world to say goodbye to cows. That's the Washington Examiner. Climate change could force the world to say goodbye. I've been saying, go watch my Goodbye to Meat. Tastes like chicken, but it's not. Go see those presentations. Force the world to say goodbye. They may become illegal. Tons of these articles. I didn't cite them all. But number 3, number of people sickened by salmonella beef outbreak has doubled to 246 in 25 states. There were a bunch of articles on why eating meat could possibly give you salmonella. Next one, another hit piece. 22 out of the top 25 burger chains graded F on their antibiotic use. That's virtually every major burger chain in the United States. The beef that they sell, and this is true, and it shouldn't be, but it's just the way our meat is today due to the weakened cattle are massively impacted with antibiotics, which is not good for us as humans. But I think it's very interesting that this would make the headlines. And of course, the goal is to force people, and my wife and I, we're very food conscious people, obviously, have been for years. Gone from the various diets. Man, what was the guy's name? He died. The Atkins diet started with the Atkins and then went to paleo, and now we're kind of on a modified paleo type diet. So we don't, my point what I'm getting at is just simply to say we as a family, we don't eat at any fast food restaurants. It's not food. It hadn't been food forever. You got to understand some things, folks. When these chains and any restaurants, people buy the meats that they have, unless you go to very high-end restaurants and places to eat and stores to buy your meat, They get the cheapest meat they can buy. They get the most bang for the dollar. They cut the best deal they can get with those hamburgers and those chicken wings and everything else. Those are not top quality, top shelf meats. All right, enough said. Number 5, last article. Europe must have meat and dairy production by 2050 to save the planet, expert says. I wonder who the expert is. They always say an expert, a report, a group. And you do have to ask the questions. Who is funding the group? Is this some vegan group? Is this some plant-based meat thing doing a hit piece on beef and chicken to push people to buy their plant-based beef and chicken? There's a lot of underhanded stuff going on. But what I want us to notice, and I want you to pay attention to, and just have your ears tuned to this, because we're going to see a lot more of it. We're going to see a lot more of everything about meat and food and starvation and planting and victory gardens and lack of water, everything surrounding food this spring and summer. You hide and watch. This pushes on to move people away from meat, to put psychologically and into people's souls the idea that eating meat is one, bad for them. They will be despised by and hated by their neighbors. They'll be considered sexist or racist. They'll be part of the white patriarchy. They will hate the planet. They will be bad people. Sick, bad people. And they're going to turn into the cigarette smokers, I believe, where they had to stand outside or in the back or in a designated area and smoke their cigarette. And then everyone else who doesn't smoke could look at them, oh, look at those poor smokers, those dumb addicts. Well, I don't smoke cigarettes, never have, and it is addictive, and I wish people wouldn't smoke. But nonetheless, there's no need to make them pariahs. Same with meat eaters. They're probably going to have restaurants that go, well, the meat section, because meat people, we smell different. Our body odor is different, apparently, than vegans. Vegans smart. When a vegan farts, it smells like little roses. Man, you eat a bowl of chili and you give off some gas. Buddy, it can clear the room. See, that just proves how bad meat is, Bob. Well, have you ever ate a bunch of beans, 100% vegan? I don't care if you soaked them overnight. Maybe it's just my gut biome. Still have gas. But I hope that you're seeing, meat eater, that you're destroying the planet, you're destroying your life, you're destroying your community. And the world is pushing to stop you from eating any form of genuine animal meat products, and wake up and enjoy your maggot on the mango, which is on a stick over your barbecue with your cricket burger and your fly butter and your silk larvae pupa. That's what they want you to eat. Oh, it's a big snow job. And there's nothing wrong with eating meat. And sure, could we use a little more moderation? Probably. Do Americans eat more meat than anybody else in the world? Yes, we do. Should we? Probably not. It's not that healthy. We are an obese people in America. Obesity is a huge problem. Heart disease is a huge problem. But I don't blame meat per se. I blame the way that we use it and our lack of exercise. Now, we eat so much, we eat ourselves into food comas and don't want to get up and walk around the block after we eat. That's on us. Let's not blame the meat producers and the animals themselves. I love my animals, but I love to eat meat, and I'm not going to stop that in the days ahead. My advice to my listeners is to go out, work with a farmer right now. It's probably a little late, but it's better late than never, because all of your meat prices are going to go up along with the price of everything else. Prep today. Don't delay.